I've been working with kids for 25 years. I have never seen such a dramatic shift in mental health. And that their sleep cycles were so off, I can't even tell you. I really started falling in love with the concept of sleep and how much sleep is the absolute foundation for all physical and mental health.
How many people do you know who like to hang around teenagers these days as adults? Not very many of us, but you know what? There's a few incredible souls like the person we're talking with today, Carrie Cooper. Carrie has an incredible demeanor and loves working with teenagers. In fact, she's got a practice where she's helping them in a dramatic fashion. But then during her work, she realized that the parents were also dealing with issues. And now she's helping them with something transformational. Have you ever felt like no matter what you do, you're stuck in a cycle of exhaustion and stress? On today's episode of the I Am Pain Free podcast, we're diving into a solution that can change everything. Meet Carrie Cooper. She's a seasoned therapist who transformed her approach by healing, but by tackling a universal yet often overlooked issue. Guess what it is? Sleep. Yep, with 25 years of experience and passion for helping both teens and adults, Carrie reveals the surprising connections between rest, mental health, and even chronic pain. So stick around and learn why sleep might just be the missing link to your health journey. Hey everybody, this is Rob from the I Am Pain Free podcast. Welcome back. We have an exciting guest today. We got Carrie Cooper. How are you, Carrie?
Hi, I'm good. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, this is going to be a fun conversation, reading your background, and it's just exciting to know how you are helping people, and I love it. And so this is going to be a great conversation. So why don't you introduce yourself real quick and we'll get started.
Sure. I am a therapist. I've been a therapist for 25 years, and I was really traditionally trained. But somewhere along the line, I said, we're missing something. We are
Amen.
Amen. Something. Because people came in with symptoms, and I always worked with teens actually when I was first starting out, and they had a whole clinical team around them and group therapy, individual therapy, family therapy, psychiatrist. These kids weren't getting as good as they should have been with all of that help. And I said, we're missing something. And through a bunch of different things that happened in my personal life, I realized that we're missing many things. And one of them is food. One of them is sleep. One of them is exercise. We are missing the foundations of good health. And without those, we are never going to get people to really feel good. So I really transformed my practice into much more of a holistic style. I went back to school to become a certified health coach as well. That way I could integrate that into my work. So yes, I do regular therapy, but I take a much more holistic view. What are you eating? Are you exercising? Are you seeing the light of day? Are you meditating? And I really started falling in love with the concept of sleep and how much sleep is the absolute foundation for all physical and mental health. And what I wound up doing was, I have my business for therapy is Carrie Cooper Holistic Therapy. But what I wound up doing was creating a whole second business to work with adults on sleep. So I went back to school, became a certified sleep coach. And now I work with adults with Sleep Solutions by Carrie, which is an all online. It's normally 4 weeks and you're back to sleeping well. And without that foundation, again, it's an uphill battle.
That's so amazing because, this is going to be a fun conversation because everything that you mentioned so far is just like right up my alley. I love what you're doing. And I love that you, just by working with people, and early on when you mentioned that you were working with people, like they're just not getting the care that they should, right? There's something wrong with this picture, right?
Yeah, and that's such like a bigger issue in society. Like we are missing the mark here. Like we have so much money invested into our healthcare, and yet people are so sick and they think it's normal.
Yeah. And they don't know normal until you get them well. And then they're like, holy smokes, this is how I'm supposed to feel.
Yeah. Oh
right?
my gosh, I'm supposed to have energy. Oh my gosh, I'm not supposed to have these aches and pains. Yeah.
It's so exciting because I just became awake is what I call it probably 5 years ago. So I was in the matrix and I didn't understand. And then when the pandemic hit, that's when I really started doing research on health in general. And that started my whole journey, creating companies and solutions to help people. And then as part of that journey, I had found out how bad pain was, how many people were in chronic pain. And it was just really sickening and sad that how many people had that much pain. And so it's been an awesome journey because I've interviewed a lot of people to talk about how they're helping people with pain and pain relief and even the faith related to pain. But one of the most common things that people talk about are that we're just not treating people holistically, like you said, right?
When we talk about pain, even, we know to repair the body, you need sleep. That is when the repair happens. So I don't think many people are going to a doctor's office who are in pain and the doctor's saying, make sure you're getting your 8 to 9 hours a night because that's going to help your body actually heal.
That's the last thing they're going to tell them, right?
The last thing they're telling them.
Which is
and then so many people have sleep issues because of their pain. So then it's this cycle that it's so hard to break out of, right? They can't sleep because they're in pain. And then because they're not sleeping, they continue to be in pain and their body can't heal. And that's where we really need to fix it.
Yes. This is fantastic. So I'm so excited. This is great because literally I 100% agree. And just all the things that I'm learning are things that you've been trained on, which is awesome. So this will be a really fun conversation. Let's talk about your path again a little bit more. I'd like to ask you just a couple of questions related to that path. It sounds like you worked with a lot of teens early on. And then what was why did you want to start that journey to begin with?
It's so funny because people either you love working with kids or you hate working with kids. There's no in between on that one. And I fall into the category of I love it.
Oh,
and
good.
I think that comes from really my own high school experience. I was not good in school when it came to high school, which is funny because I later on wound up with a master's from an Ivy League university. But
that's amazing.
High school, I hated it. I wasn't interested in it. It was stupid. And I hung out with a lot of friends who also felt the same way and may have gotten into a bit of trouble at times. But there was never like that adult to help guide without judgment. And I was like, this is what kids are missing. And high school years are really hard. Middle school years are really hard.
Yeah.
And I always knew I wanted to be that person. I went through high school, made it through high school somehow, and then really excelled in college because I was taking psychology classes, social work classes, and like they clicked.
Things that you enjoyed, right?
I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
It felt like a waste of time. So then I went on to get my master's and immediately started working with teenagers. And I worked really intense settings in the beginning of my career. I worked in residential treatment facilities. I worked in group programs. And then as my career continued, I went more into a private practice route. But that's how I started out. So it's been 25 years that I've been working with teens and I absolutely love it. But I also see them come into my office and I see the parents and how stressed they are. And I know their stress goes down to the kids. And especially when I have moms in my office, I know, they're telling me they're not sleeping. And if you're not sleeping, you have no patience the next day.
Right.
So I really felt like I needed to do something for the adults. And that's why I did a whole second business just for sleep for adults.
That's awesome because obviously you identified a really big need with what you're currently doing with the teens, and you're like, hold it, we have a missing area that people need help with, and you're filling that journey. I think that's so exciting to talk to people like you who really are trying to help people in a real tangible way, rather than just assume that someone else is going to take care of it. Hey, we have a missing problem here. Let's go figure out a way to solve it.
Yeah. And when I really first discovered that too was COVID. I've been working with kids for 25 years. I have never seen such a dramatic shift in mental health, and not in a good way, as I did during COVID. And that their sleep cycles were so off, I can't even tell you. They were nocturnal, half of them. Especially when you're doing online school and just logging in and falling back asleep half the time. They were nocturnal. They were not getting out of bed. And I was like, this is a disaster. This is an absolute disaster. So that actually prompted me during COVID to write 2 books. And I wrote Mental Health Uncensored, 10 Foundations Every Parent Needs to Know. And it's really 10 foundations that your kid needs to have in order to have good mental health. And 5 of them are physical ones. Okay. One of those is sleep. And then I wrote a workbook for teens. That way they can take that book and own it and work on their own goals.
That's exciting. That's so neat because literally you're right. That whole pandemic was transformational in a lot of people's lives, right? In most cases, not a very positive
Right.
way. And I think that we're going to see ramifications of that for decades to come,
Yes, we're
right?
still seeing it with the way the
Yeah.
kids have developed. And you see who was in kindergarten when COVID hit, who was in high school. Like you could see it and what developmental stages they really missed out on.
Right. Yeah. Because it just changed our whole society, right? Like you mentioned, they all of a sudden now they're all nocturnal and they're all afraid, right? And scared of things. And just think about how that impacts every generation a little bit differently, right? So it impacted me different than the kids back then, or even the babies as they're being born. So every generation had a little different issue and problem. And it sounds like you identified some very specific things with teens, which is awesome, and their sleep. And then not only did you do something about it, you wrote a book. That's so cool, and have a workbook for them. So that's fantastic. I really love you in the respect that you are literally are just helping people and being proactive. So, okay, there's a problem. Let's go fix it. And man, I'm so excited because I love that's what we need to do as a society right now. There's so many people that are suffering.
Yeah.
We need to fix that, right? And it's I'm so excited about. I don't care what you believe politically; it really doesn't matter. It does matter to me, but at the same point, what's really matters to me is the health. So the Maha movement, I'm so excited about. I don't know. Have you followed that movement much, or what do you think about the whole "Make America Healthy Again"?
Yeah, it's really amazing that things that have never been talked about before are all of a sudden being talked about very mainstream.
Right.
I just heard a podcast episode recently, a very mainstream podcast that was talking about, do you know that our Fruit Loops have different ingredients than other countries because other countries won't allow those ingredients? Yeah, we do.
And it's like a major podcast and people are talking about that, right? Whereas that's stuff that people in the health industry have known for a really long time, but it's just shoved under the rug, right? And
it's completely shoved under the rug.
Yeah.
Like we wonder why our kids are so sick.
It's really,
we know they're not even eating real food at this point.
It's all ultra processed food. 75% of our foods are ultra processed foods. So,
and then we wonder why our bodies don't work right and why we become chronic pain.
Right.
Why
AKA why we don't sleep. If
Exactly.
your body is full of crap, it doesn't have the nutrients it needs to do what it needs to do. Yeah, that's why I'm just so passionate about this whole, and it's so exciting for me because I've mentioned my little story a little bit, but when the pandemic, I started doing all that research. What the heck is going on? And that's when I woke up to the corruption that's going on in our medical field. And then I did research on how bad our country is from a health perspective. I was like, man, we are a mess.
There's no money in healthy people.
And it's all about, there's so many awesome people that are doctors and nurses and, practitioners. And there's so many people that are amazing and awesome. So I don't ever want people to think that I think that they are bad. I just think the way that we set up our incentive system in the United States is just absolutely horrible. It was planned and it was very well done. And lots of people become millionaires and trillionaires because of it. And that's just, and our society has felt the brunt of that, which is sad. So we're going to fix it.
Yeah, you have the people on the front line. You do have some doctors and nurses and chiropractors, acupuncturists, therapists, all of that, who are really trying to fix it.
Yes.
At a ground level.
Yes.
But there's such a bigger piece to this with the money and where all that flows. And it's challenging.
It is very challenging. That's why I'm excited. At least people are hearing about it. So I call it the Great Awakening. I think there's a great awakening of faith, things happening, but I'm obviously a very faithful person. So I want to help people with their faith through their health. But there's such a great awakening in the health movement because of that. I saw a podcast with Casey Means. I don't know if Casey Means, have you heard of her?
No, I haven't.
She wrote a book called Good Energy. And the only reason I mention her name is that she was on Tucker Carlson and then she was on Joe Rogan. And, so obviously two huge podcasts, and she was talking about the corruption of the healthcare system and all the things that I had researched 5 years ago that no one would really listen to me about. Sure. Now she's talking about it and millions of people understand it. And I was like, praise the Lord, we're getting some good information out there, which is going to help people and then get hopefully people passionate like Carrie, right? Let's get people like Carrie out to help people. So just so excited. So let's jump into the sleep thing a little bit. So that's fascinating. When did you get to the point where you're helping kids and you're like, why is sleep the area of focus versus why did, instead of nutrition or instead of gut health or why was it sleep?
A few different things happened to really bring me onto that journey. One was that during COVID, they were nocturnal and their mental health was a disaster. The other thing I started noticing, and I'm not even sure how long I've been doing it for, but I constantly ask kids, how's your sleep been last week? Whenever they come into my office on a weekly basis. And I got really good at recognizing the moment their sleep started changing, they were going to crash. It was not going to go well. And it was always the best predictor for how they were going to do mentally. And then I started looking at their parents, and their parents, every time they come into my office, I'm like, how are you doing? Their response to me is, oh, I'm so tired.
Right.
And then what really sealed the deal was I was out to dinner with a bunch of other couples, me and my husband, a bunch of couples. And the women were talking about some like group chat. And I was like, what group chat are you talking about? Like, I'm not on this. And they're like, it's our 4 a.m. group chat. We know you sleep. You're all up at 4 a.m? None of them sleep.
Oh my gosh.
And I was like, oh, this is a problem. This is such a problem. So although I've always talked about foundations, food and sleep and exercise and all that, I was like, and water, by the way, hydration is another huge thing that we miss all the time. The whole chapter devoted to hydration in both.
Awesome.
I said, I need to do this. I need to talk about sleep because without sleep, nothing else is going to work. Right. Even when we talk about food, your food choices when you are sleep deprived are so different.
Yeah. And then like it's like that circle, right?
Circle.
So you don't really eat well, you don't sleep well, you don't eat,
Exactly.
You don't sleep well, you don't eat well.
Haven't slept well. It's always, oh, I'm too tired to exercise, or I'm too tired to cook, or it all comes back to sleep. Nice. So if I could fix one thing in people, which is sleep, then that's a solid foundation to start making other changes. But I tell people all the time when we talk about how we feel, I have so many times kids come into my office and they're like, I just have anxiety. And I'm like, stop. Yes, you have the symptoms of anxiety. Yes, you feel it. Yes, it's real. That doesn't mean you're a victim to it. What can we do to actually start changing it? Because you can do things to feel better, whether it be in mental health, physical health. I want people to feel empowered. You can make really small daily changes that are going to make you feel better.
That's so good. So good. Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. So then the sleep component was you just said, okay, hey, I need to focus on this. Now, didn't you say you went back and did certification?
Yes, I got a certification. Who even knew there was a certification?
Yeah, I didn't.
There is. Yeah. And I did it.
That's awesome.
So I did that, and I really just dove in and developed an entire 4-week program for adults. That way they can work with me one-on-one. It's normally around 4 sessions and they're back to sleeping really well. Wow. And what the research shows with sleep issues, when they compare the sleep medicine and all these other different things, it's really cognitive behavioral therapy that changes the sleep patterns. That's what I do. It was just a really natural transition for me to start doing sleep coaching. And right. I really enjoy working with adults too. I don't normally get to work with them in my everyday practice.
That's fun. So is it kind of your night job, or you're just on the side job, or are you working? How do you balance?
I'm juggling 2 businesses right now. Okay. I'm really lucky to do what I do. I really love what I do. I was in my office yesterday and I had the hat on as just a teen therapist yesterday. And I don't walk out of there feeling drained. I walk out of there feeling so excited. And
that's neat, because you're making an impact on a young person's life, right? Many young person's lives, which is so
it's
cool.
Such a blessing to have kids come into my office and feel safe and be able to talk to me. And they talk to me about, my goodness, everything. And for them to actually listen and to change and to come back the next day and be like, oh my gosh, I did this. And guess what? I felt so much better. It's like amazing.
Yeah. You're like, amen. That's all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So good. It's so good.
That is really awesome. I love that. And I'll bet you have similar feelings with the sleep coaching and stuff that you're doing, right? Because
for people to all of a sudden be like, I slept last night. Yeah, it's life changing.
Yes. It's so
People don't even
interesting that,
realize how sleep deprived they are. They don't even
right.
realize it. They're just walking, just like with pain. They don't even realize sometimes how much pain they're in until they're no longer in that pain.
That's so good. That's so good. And then people that have never had a sleep issue don't understand it either. Like when I was in college, I knew, and with my running, I was a really competitive, serious runner. And I knew that not the night before my race, it was the second night before my race was the most important night of sleep. So I would literally stress out about not sleeping, and because I knew I needed to sleep that night. So it was like this cycle. I was just like, oh no, I know how important this night is. I have to sleep, but I'd stress out about it, and then I wouldn't sleep well because I wouldn't. But I got to the point where I trained myself to where I could. But it was an interesting cycle, because when you realize how important that physical thing of sleeping is to your body, and then to me as a runner, I knew that in a day and a half from now on to be actually racing, and I need to be my best. And in order for me to be my best, I have to have that rest. And people just don't equate that. And then other thing, just from a sleep perspective, that really opened my eyes was Michael Jackson. Or was it him trying to sleep? He got so obsessed about sleeping that he ended up, I don't know all the details of the conspiracy theories related to it. It was like, holy smokes, he was drugging himself like crazy just so he could sleep, which is really scary that people have to get to that way. So
It is. And what you talked about is so true. It's a cycle. They stress out about sleeping. And then because they're stressed out about sleeping, they are too anxious to sleep. And then they don't sleep. And then they stress out again about not sleeping. And it just, so
right.
that's where I come in and I break that loop.
Awesome.
And we just rebuild what we think about sleep, how we approach sleep. What does sleep really mean? So we bring down that anxiety level, and then we're able to really rework it.
That's awesome. So you said it typically takes a 4-week session. And I don't want you to reveal your secrets, but
it's around a 4-week session. Yeah.
Summarize it if you can.
Yeah. The first thing is we dive deep into what's going on with their sleep, and I have them track their sleep. And then we start talking about some behavioral changes around sleep. What do we need to change? That way our sleep gets actually better. And some of it sounds counterintuitive in the beginning, but they roll with me and then they realize that this is why. And we also make sure that their sleep environment's really good. But we also look at, what are you doing all day long? Because if you're sitting down doing nothing and expending no energy, you are going to have a problem sleeping that night.
Yeah, that is so good, right?
If you are eating all processed food all day long, sugar and caffeine, you are going to have a problem sleeping that night.
Yes, the sedentary lifestyle that is our American lifestyle right now is just incredible. I find the days when I don't exercise and I'm working all day on my desk, I have a harder time sleeping because I haven't worked out my body. My body hasn't done any. I'm not walking on those particular days, and it's just a dramatic difference. Whereas if I literally exercise, I'm active all day, and then all of a sudden at night, I'm just like, holy smokes, I'm exhausted. Right. Whereas those other days, hey, I've had some Coke and had a ice cream bar or whatever, and I've been sitting all day. And at night, your body's just, yeah, let's go. We're still ready to go. Really interesting.
Or if you've been stressing out all day, that's not going to magically turn off at nighttime. You need stress management throughout the whole day.
Yeah, that's interesting.
So there's so many layers to it, but once people understand how to make some small changes and how to rethink about sleep and how to rethink about their sleep behavior, it's really a pretty dramatic change. And then once they get that sleep piece in, they feel like they can conquer the world, especially when it's somebody who's really sleep deprived.
Yeah, I love that. So let's talk about their sleeping environment. What do you typically recommend with their sleeping environment?
Yeah, it's one of the biggest things is that this is especially something I say to the college students that I work with all the time. You cannot live out of your bed. You cannot be doing your emails from your bed, eating in your bed. Like, you can't, because your brain's not going to associate bed sleep time. So that is like one of the easiest, most basic. I will tell everyone that tip right now.
Just get out of the bed when you're not in
bed. And for the college students, it's so hard for them. I'm like, get out of your bed. You may not do your homework in your bed because your brain just gets It just doesn't understand then when you lay in bed that it's supposed to be for sleep at that point.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So that's really the most important thing. You don't need expensive sheets or an amazing mattress. Like, you just need a comfortable spot that's dark and
Okay.
quiet, but you can't be in bed all the time.
I love that. So your body and mind separate that from the physical, actual sleeping portion of it. I like that.
We know our brain makes connections, and
Right.
those connections are really strong.
Yeah.
So if you are living out of your bed is not going to make the connection bed and sleep. And when you want your brain to connect bed and sleep.
Love it. Love it. So then you get them to, after the 4 weeks, you get them sleeping. Then do you have other things for them, or do you just help them with their other areas of their health?
When they're off. With the adults,
Nice.
we'll really just do sleeping.
Okay.
And
Okay.
in their own therapy. So many therapists, one, aren't trained in sleep, and two, don't have time to deal with the sleep when they're dealing with everything else.
Right.
So I have a lot of therapists who refer me their clients and say,
that's cool.
I'm working on a million things with them. They need help with their sleep, and I can't work that into my sessions with them. So I just do the sleep piece.
Oh, nice. Nice.
Yeah, so I do that a lot because it's so important.
Right.
And also, when the parents start prioritizing sleep, then it goes down to the kids, and the kids start prioritizing sleep.
That's great. That's
and
great.
I need the kids to prioritize sleep. It's so important for them.
Yeah, then all the other things that you're helping them with that go better because they're getting their sleep.
When they're sleep deprived, it's just an uphill battle for them to do anything. So any tasks and goals that I'm setting up with them, if they're exhausted, it's so much harder.
Yeah, I can imagine. So how about the pain word? What's the relationship between sleep and pain? You mentioned a little bit earlier, but let's dive into that for a second.
There's such a big connection. Again, when we're in pain, our bodies are inflamed. There's something wrong physically. Sleep is when you repair your body. Sleep is also when your immune system kicks in too, by the way. So people who are chronically sick, sleep is so crucial. So for someone to live pain-free, that sleep is such a key element of this.
Yeah, I love it. I totally agree. And I try to help people understand that their gut health is very important, yes. Right? Because the gut-brain connection is really key, and the key to the inflammation that is more than likely causing their pain. And so I love that connection between the sleep and their gut health too, right? Because their immune system is going to be much stronger, and their gut health is going to be better when they have better rest. And then guess what? Their pain is going to be reduced because their inflammation is going to be reduced. And so everything's repairing as you're sleeping. So that's really exciting, and I think really important.
I think people forget that sleep isn't just like sleep. Sleep is like your body does so much when it sleeps. The immune system is kicking on. The fluid in your brain is going through like almost a wash cycle. Your organs, like everything is resting, everything is repairing. That's when you learn, like that's when your memories are stored. That's when your brain is sorting everything out throughout the day. So especially for kids, I tell them all the time, do not stay up late studying, because you need sleep before a test, because everything you studied during the day needs to be processed and stored. And that happens when you sleep. So we forget sleep is crucial for so many aspects of our well-being.
I love that. Instead of cramming all night long for a test, you study, get rest, and then maybe get up a little earlier and study for week before.
And also, when you're well rested, that's when you're able to problem solve better the next day. That's when you're able to not just have all this like emotional reactivity, but you're able to actually like logically problem solve. So even if you're in pain the next day, for you to be able to have a clear mind to say, okay, this is hurting me right now. What do I need to do to take care of yourself?
Yeah.
Rather than just, this is hurting. Oh my goodness, it's never going to get better. And to go down that emotional despair because we can't even think properly.
Right.
It just helps us take that step back.
Let me sit on the couch and eat my ultra processed food and not exercise, and my pain's going to go away, right? Mm-hmm. Not going to drink my water, not going to get hydrated, and not going to get any sun. I'm just going to, but it's magically going to go away. So,
And then people always use how tired they are as like, I can't do my workout or my stretches or my yoga. I'm too tired. Oh, I didn't sleep enough. So I'm going to hit snooze, even though I'm not really sleeping. I'm just hitting snooze for no reason. But I can't get up because I didn't sleep enough.
That's so good. That's so good. Yeah. So let's get help. Let's get people healthy. And
Yes.
we're going to start that by getting rest, right? And learning how to sleep well. And then we can start working on making sure they get the right water and hydration, make sure they get the right nutrition, right?
Mm-hmm.
The things that are so important to our human body. This whole mind, body, spirit connection is so important. I think sleep has a huge impact on that whole on our whole body, right?
Yes, absolutely. And that's why I wrote those books. They're simple steps. And if we could start teaching our next generation about this, that is so important. That is so important for us as a society to be able to raise really happy and healthy human beings.
Yes, yes. So what's the best way for them to find your books? Let's talk
So
about
both of my books are on Amazon. One is
Okay.
Mental Health Uncensored, 10 Foundations Every Parent Needs to Know. And the other one is Mental Health Uncensored, 10 Foundations Every Teen Needs to Know. And that is a
Nice.
workbook that teens can go through and really track themselves and see, oh, I drank a lot of water today and I don't have a headache. It's a very black and white book of you do this, you're going to feel better.
That's fantastic. That's fantastic. I'm so excited. So how do people get a hold of you if they want to learn more and want to get some coaching from Carrie?
Sure. So it's Sleep Solutions by Carrie, Keri. And I am on Instagram and Facebook and website as well.
Ah, fantastic. Fantastic. What a super pleasure to meet you, Carrie. Is there anything else you want to share that I didn't ask during our interview?
No, I just really want people to understand that they can change. Like they can feel better. They really can. It's within their control. And it's small, little bite-sized steps.
I love it. Fantastic. Thank you so much for sharing, Carrie. I think this has been such a wonderful message for every single person listening, right? It doesn't matter whether you're old, young, yellow, green, tall, short. This message is for everybody. We all need what Carrie's talking about. So what a wonderful time. And we really appreciate you and everything that you're doing to help all these children because they're the future, right? So we need to make sure that they're healthy. And we're super excited about it. We're glad that you're helping their parents get some sleep so the kids can get some sleep as well. So I wish you all the success in the world with everything you're doing. It's really exciting.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thanks for being on the show.
Thank you for having me.
All right. Thanks, Carrie. Signing off from the I Am Pain Free podcast. As many of you know, my focus at the I Am Pain Free podcast is help as many people get pain free as possible. And we strive to use all natural and alternative therapies to accomplish that goal. Well, today I'm thrilled to introduce to you a revolutionary product that aligns perfectly with our mission of natural health and well-being. It's called Exodus by Exodus Strong. At Exodus Strong, their mission is to help you break free from the grip of big pharma and embrace natural solutions that promote vibrant health. With a foundation rooted in the wisdom of the Bible, the all-natural supplement harnesses the power of 7 key ingredients specifically mentioned in the scriptures. The flagship product, Exodus, is designed to be transformational, providing benefits such as energy enhancement, stress relief, blood sugar stabilization, pain relief, and anti-inflammation. So join the movement, right, to help them get 1 million new people to read the Bible every day and transform their health naturally. When you purchase Exodus, use code IAPF at checkout to receive a special free gift with your order. It's time to exit the old you and step into a new chapter of vitality and well-being. To get there, you go to exodusstrong.com. So it's Exodus, EXODUS, and check out and use that IAPF for the I Am Pain Free podcast. And then you'll experience the benefits of the Exodus mineral blend. This mineral blend is amazing. It's got the molecular hydrogen generating formula that's backed by hundreds of scientific studies. So begin your journey feeling great and looking great. Don't miss the opportunity to take control of your health with the all natural way. So go check it out. I think you'll really enjoy it.